Good evening, RPG Limit Break. We are here with the Summer 2022 Duckling Derby. Isn't that right, DVS?
Yeah, absolutely. I am super excited about this. In case you are new to the Duckling Derby, this is our new racers only tournament. So any of us that have made it deep into brackets in a spring tournament or won any other sort of competition here in Final Fantasy Randomizer, we're not allowed to play. This is solely for newer runners who are getting an opportunity to run against other newer runners.
It is more or less the culmination of our Duckling Boot Camp that we hold twice a year. And it's an opportunity for Ducklings to learn a little bit about the racing environment, see if they enjoy it before, committing to a full-on tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And also just to test what they've learned under fire.
Exactly. Well, and again, as we like to say, this is one of those opportunities where we teach every new runner all of the tips and tricks that all of the best runners use. And this is, again, a learning experience. So throughout this race today, if you hear Wout and I commenting or critiquing something, it's out of the interest of education and out of the interest of teaching, as opposed to some sort of negative criticism. A lot of, I see in the chat already, a number of newer runners from the FFR community. So again, it's out of training and teaching, not out of a heart of criticism.
Go ahead and throw our blursings up on screen for the moment. So, yeah, tonight we have a fighter with extra HP and MDef gain, which basically puts them on par with the black belt. We've got thieves rolling with extra vitality and better armor. We've got black belts able to wield Excaliburs and cast spells as a knight. Red mages get XP and thief luck. White mages get level 1 black magic and the ability to wear the white shirt right away. And black mages get bonus agility and some extra spell slots off the boot.
And that level 1 black magic having nuke and brack, I mean, anyone who brought a white mage is going to be pleasantly surprised by what they find in there.
Yeah, especially since all we've really got in level 1 white is life. You just grab life, nuke, and brack on that white mage and...
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the fact that that's like level 4, slot 4, level 1 in white magic is red wizard locked. So anyone who brought that red mage staring at that life at slot 4 saying, "Oh, I wish I could." And the people that did bring the white mage are going to be just happy with what they wind up with.
Alright, so, yeah, I've seen comments in chat already about, well, this seed is figured out. So, let's talk a little bit about the flags while everyone's finishing up the first little stage here. We have a free ship, free bridge, no floater.
Yep.
We are going to be sailing everywhere.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is that this is a floaterless flag set, which means also that you only need the boat and the canoe to get to Gaia and Lefane, as well as Bahamut, based on some extra flags that we have on for this flag set.
And we do also have XP and chests, which is not a flag we get to see very often, and jury's still out on whether or not that was meant to be left in.
Well, we do see already that 5,000 or so experience automatically brings you up about 3 or 4 levels. So our runners are starting off with a nice little pickup at the very beginning. Not going to see much of it, like practically, because we're basically throwing a nuke at Garland and running. But it's definitely something that we're going to see pop up. You're going to see a lot of these 5,000 or 6,000 experience chests. And we have a rod and an adamant early, which is going to come into play a little bit later, but we'll save that for a little bit to discuss.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, we do have speedboat on at least, so that having to sail everywhere isn't as bad as it could be, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think with the nice thing about floaterless in this flag set is that really you're not getting too overwhelmed with checks all at the same time. Like with the ship, you have a lot of the inner sea that's opened up to you. You get the canoe, which opens up a bunch of different options, but most of them have some sort of key item block, like the bottle or the slab or the rod or something else like that that makes it a little bit easier to manage.
Yeah. So, this is the time for my eternal question. Where do you go from here?
Yeah.
We do of Marsh Cave, we have an adamant turn-in, we have a canoe, we have... Most of these runners have somewhere between 2 and 3 nuke casters. Do you think anyone decides, you know what, I'm going to go for the cheeky ice cave play, and the adamant can wait?
See, again, I think the thing that makes this a nice Duckling level flag set is that Ice Cave is not incentivized, and Volcano is not incentivized. So really the only place that you can go is Marsh Cave. We might see a runner head over to, and it looks like the adamant turn-in does become the canal, which now opens up the outer sea as well. But like I was saying, like the fact that we're blocking off the floater does make it a little bit less hectic in terms of overworld travel. Yeah, adamant turned into the canal.
Yeah, so I'm just going to point something out in chat. Someone mentioned that the Red Mage will be happy about Slot 1 Life 2 at Level 2. Level 2 is the only level of white magic where it doesn't matter what slot anything's in. Anyone who can cast white magic can learn anything at Level 2 white. So, I mean, it's nice that it's, a real quick buy, but you do just need to remember, like, Level 2 white magic is head empty mode when it comes to which slots do I need to use.
Exactly. I am seeing something interesting with our runners. It makes complete sense. We're seeing all of our runners going up to that northern dock, the actual ship's dock by Dwarf Cave, in order to run over to Dwarves. Since we already have the canal, we can actually use the river over by Northwest Castle as a dock, and that's a little bit closer to Dwarf Cave. So rather than using all of these steps to go up north, it'd be faster to just drop in and jump into the river system with that canoe.
Flip side DVS. Flip side to that. We have a fairly low encounter rate on the overworld, and you have to cross the canal spot in order to actually get to Dwarf Cave from the rivers.
True, and so that'll turn on the bridge boss for you.
Yeah. Like, I think you're right in that it's still marginally faster to use the river and just eat the cutscene. I am just pointing out, like, it isn't necessarily that much slower for them to skip the bridge boss. True.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about bridge boss. Ooh, in slot 3, level 4, Fade here in White Magic. Okay, so we haven't really been talking about the magic here very much. This magic is just gimme magic. We've seen Life 1 at level 1, Life 2 level 2, Heal 3, seen Cure 3, Black Magic, we already have Nuke, Quad X, my favorite spell, Temper, Cake, Ice 3, Warp, Fade. I mean, really, these first 4 slots have everything that you could want and receive.
Yeah. No, like, we genuinely, like, unless you, like, you still want fast, so you're still probably gonna level 5 and 6 just in case, but, like, you're good. And the other thing I like about this list and the way things shook out, no matter what you took for casting, you're happy.
Right.
Even that black belt is happy right now.
Very true. Very true.
When the night spell list is looking good, you know that you're in good shape.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to point out something though. I just remembered that if you're watching this race and you kept up with our spring tournament, we do not have the harm flag on for white mages. So for white mages, harm still only affects undead. You're not going to get that extra bonus of harm affecting everybody like Fade would. So there is that disadvantage to white mages. But and again, in this case, our runners are lucky because they have some decent spells in the first couple slots.
Yeah, you weren't good. This seed, at least, you weren't going to be casting harm anyway. But we do pull a slab out of the marsh cave, so we can at least go ahead and turn that in. And we are going to probably see all these runners go ahead and turn that slab in because LaFane is already on the table with that connect.
Exactly. Well, and we do have 3 items that are incentivized that are not, progression-based items. Well, really 4. But we have a power gauntlet, a power staff, and a black shirt, which essentially is the saber gauntlet, the ruse stick, and just the regular black shirt. So there is a possibility that that slab would turn into one of those items, but especially this early in the game, you take that slab. We have warp at level 4, I think, so you might have 1 or 2 casts of that by now. But yeah, I definitely take that slab out. And it looks like our runners are basically following the same playbook. They're all heading down to Marsh before heading out of the Inner Sea. The only big difference is that Kumo is deciding to take Top Marsh as well as Bottom Marsh. Top Marsh has a nice couple chests in there. You're not going to find any incentive items, and it doesn't have it's not a treasure trove like the Volcano Armory would be, but it is a nice spot to pick up some early chests.
Alright, so at this point, we have a ruby, we have a slab, we have a rod. I'm going to be surprised if anyone here doesn't go straight over to Melmond.
Yeah.
And you hinted at this earlier, but one of the other flag combinations that we normally have on, but turned off for this particular race, Free Sarda and Free Sages are off.
Yep.
And for those who don't know every flag by heart, the Free Sarda and Free Sages disable the checks in the game to see if you've killed the vampire and the lich, respectively.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Shadow Mr. T was just about to make the fatal mistake, but the gods were good to him, and he remembered that he can't go to Sarda yet. He has to go and at least kill the vampire before going to talk to Sarda.
Yeah. And I do not believe that Titans is incentivized tonight, so he wouldn't have even gotten that, so...
Yep. Though, Earth Cave is incentivized after gating, which means that after they use the rod to get past the rod plate, they are going to find some sort of incentive item on that next floor in Marsh, though it is going to be a random box on a particular floor.
Yeah, nah, it's one of those things, you already have the rod in hand, so unlike in vanilla, you don't have to walk back out. So you can just have the quick run down, find your key item, or your incentive item, kill Lich real quick, and be done with it.
Yeah, so it looks like we have 3 out of our 4 runners down here. In Earth. Kumo is caught up a little bit because they decided to check the north, the top part of Marsh, which is why they're a little bit behind. Ravioli deciding to check on the spike tiles here in the Hall of Giants and finding an Agama, which is absolutely nice for them because they decided to bring that black belt along, and an Agama is juicy for a black belt.
The other nice thing, though, is this is pretty much the only other spot in the game where you can Agama grind like you would Agama grind in, vanilla spike tile placement. And we do have just Shuffle on tonight, so we're not going to be seeing any 3-eye grinds or any of the other B-sides. This is purely just our normal set of spike tile encounters, just in different places.
Yeah, and it looks like that... I was not young me bringing up what I was thinking. It looks like that Agma is right around 300 HP. We haven't quite... Yeah, it is quite accessible. So it looks like it's somewhere in the 200 range for hit points. And honestly, as we were starting this particular broadcast, I was actually commenting about black belts because black belts have gotten a lot of play recently, but I would argue that this seed is not great, or this flag set is not great for black belts. Though Ravioli might get a chance to prove me wrong here, considering this spike tile.
I'm just also going to point out, though, our Earth our Earth Elemental spike tiles today, metal slimes. So
see, that's a nice full party. Like having that nuke at level 1, like you have, if you're running a fighter comp, you're gonna love those metal slimes. If you're running a black belt comp, you're gonna love that Agma tile. Yeah.
So we found our loot in the bottom of Earth Cave, but jumping back real quick, we got a question in chat. What do I mean by B-sides? So every encounter in this game, the way it's stored in memory, there's basically a flag that gets tripped that dictates whether or not which enemy formation that encounter represents. For convenience sake, we call them A-sides and B-sides. So essentially, for every encounter in the game, it can either be one group of enemies or a different group depending on the specific settings of the map you're on. I believe it's the map that dictates whether it's an A-side or a B-side when it's random encounters. This used to matter because way back in the day, runnability was tied to the encounter ID. So your A-side and your B-side would have the same runnability. So for example, the Wiz Sahag Red Sahag fight in Sea Shrine was unrunnable because it was the B-side of the pirate fight. Or it might have been the A-side of the pirate fight. Either way, it was the opposite face of the pirate fight, and part of A-side versus B-side is it dictates whether or not you have 9 tiny enemies, or 4 big enemies, or 2 big enemies and 6 tiny enemies. Anyway, Woo Bear's already killed Lich. It's Lich, no one cares.
Yeah.
We're not
Shadow did get wiped on the way to Lich there.
Well, yeah, everything else is more dangerous than Lich in Earthcave.
Yeah. I think Woke did a good job with the description of A-side versus B-side. I think we've also used like a deck of cards analogy, where every encounter has 2 sides to it, and the game just decides which side you're looking at for the actual encounter. And that's why you see metal slimes. The spike tiles as well, because the B side of metal slimes is a different encounter, but it's confusing. But anyway, that's a little bit for A sides versus B sides.
Yeah, I mean, the deck of cards analogy I think is also appropriate if we start talking about encounter manipulation, but that's its own can of worms. But
it's a little bit of complexity here, but I think that's, again, part of why I love the Duckling program and why this Duckling Derby is such an awesome experience to have been a part of, and for our new runners here. Sim Pyro bringing up in chat that we do have the War Mech Guardian of the Massamune flag turned on, which means that there is going to be one chest in the game that has a tiny little X in the top right corner, and if you see that chest with a tiny little X, inside of that chest is going to be a War Mech, but behind that War Mech is going to be a Massamune.
Which of course means that Masa is a -3 Masa.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no. What I was going to say, just to point out, we did get a TNT out of Sarda, which is turning into the crystal.
Which, not what you want to see, but
it's not that bad a hike.
Yeah, I mean, so there's also one of the other things that we talk about is experience boosting. Different flag sets have different ways that you. Oh, oozes have blizzard. That's what the ugly thing is.
Okay. Also, I think Woo Bear is doing something very heads up. Instead of going back into the inner sea to turn that crystal in, I think his plan is he's going to turn that crystal in when he, is closer to the north end of the southern continent, and just dock at the river just below Matoya.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those things you don't think about until you watch some runners do it. But I think that's a fantastic heads-up play, especially because if I'm them, I am not going to go anywhere near Volcano or Ice, because neither of those are incentivized. So you'll probably see them dropping here to get this bottle from the sages, swing down, pick up the 2 items from Gaia and Lefane, then go grab the Pit Crystal, then go to Bahamut, and then see where I am from there. But that's probably the progression that I would be playing out.
Yeah, and as you say, that Woo Bear is heading to the volcano.
Yeah, well,
Hey, normally I am the one who is describing an incredibly complex series of decisions right as someone does something completely different from what I was predicting. So
yeah.
It's nice to not be the one doing that for once.
Mm-hmm. All right, so not young me bringing up a good point that we have 3 nuke casters already, so there's really no reason not to make this particular dive. And he's got a crow ring, and it looks like is that the master chest?
Yeah, it is.
You're gonna die. Bad things are about to happen to you, buddy.
I mean, he may be thinking here, you know what? I've got a lot of nukes. I may be able to just blast War Mech down if it rolled low, and if it makes the right choices.
That is a baby punch right there. Again, people proving me wrong. Continue to do so.
Yeah, I mean, it's still not ideal, but...
Yeah.
War Mech's dead. Yeah, that was... He got...
Wow.
Blue Bear looked like got about 2 or 3, Y'all can't see me giving a cheeky grin and shrugging, but I assure you, I am giving a cheeky grin and shrugging right now.
Oh,
and hey,
gosh,
I mean, the thing is that is some good experience for your mages. That gives them all the HP you're going to need for most of this seed in one go.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better setup in terms of a low hitting War Mech. You just gave 8 or 9 level 1 spells to all of your spellcasters. You're in great shape. The only downside is you have a weak melee because your fighter didn't get any of those levels. But honestly, with a 3 nuke party like Woo Bear has, he's probably not that concerned about it.
And I mean, we're joking about a -3 Masa. It's still a Masa.
Right.
Like,
it's still by far the best sword.
you ain't critting with that thing, but it's still going to make up for that fighter missing out on some levels. And honestly, I have a feeling that we'll be fine for fighter levels by the end of this regardless.
Yeah. I see. Like the other reason that I hesitate to dive into Volcano early, even with all of the nuke casts, is that you can go into any upper level dungeon at this point with those nuke casts and get some higher experience faster. But again, it's kind of moot. It's really both decisions could be correct, and I think Woo Bear has again shown that taking the risk on the War Mech with the Massa is absolutely going to pay off for them here.
Yeah. The other thing I'm going to just point out real quick, and then we can kind of turn our attention back to our other runners who are finishing up their Earth Cave adventures,
Mm-hmm.
is that fighter is picking up an extra point of MDef every level over what they'd normally be seeing. So
Mm-hmm.
you, like, if one character had to die for that War Mech fight, the
Mhm.
fighter was the one to die. Like,
Right.
because those levels aren't nearly as precious, I
Mhm.
guess, is what I'm thinking. Like, you're still going to have really good HP on that fighter. You're still going to hit like a truck with that Masa. You're
Mhm.
still going to be able to eat spells just fine.
Mhm.
I would say, honestly, all things considered, Woo Bear's not hurting for that,
Right.
for losing the fighter for that War Mech, and all of his mages now are in beautiful shape.
Yep. Yeah. I think they're in fantastic shape for what they're doing.
All right.
Chose to choose the to dock in that boat dock instead of the river dock, which is a little bit faster. But again, that's one of those tiny little critiques. Go ahead, Will.
Yeah. So anyway, let's kind of think about where these renders are going to go from here, because I don't know if anyone else is going to make that volcano play that Woo Bear did. I think most of them are going to follow kind of your thinking, especially with that crystal in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shadow MRT or Shadow Mr. T all the way down in the Cardia check. We do have this Cardia dock, and especially since it's floaterless, we have a flag that takes all of the treasure chests from all of the Cardia isles and plops them behind the helmet here. So we'll see if Shadow ends up finding any goodies back here, in addition to the one incentive item that he is going to find.
our ruse stick today.
Not what you want to see right now, but definitely something that you're going to want for the end game.
Yeah, the ruse +3 for folks who are unfamiliar, that is what is normally the power staff in vanilla. Basically, we have a flag that basically says, no one ever equips the power staff. No one's using the power staff to hit things. We're going to make it another ruse casting item.
Yep. So it's a nice way to take a weapon that there's only one of, but no one uses, and make it actually worthwhile, if one makes sense. Great question about, so what is a -3 massa comparable to? Like a sun sword or a defense sword?
It's comparable to nothing because it's still better than every other sword in the game.
Right. I mean, I don't actually remember the damage numbers.
Its attack is going to be 41. Its accuracy boost is, I think, still something in the like in the mid to low 30s. Its crit is 1. Like you're never critting with it.
I think it'd be, you think of it as like a Sun Sword +5 versus a Massa -3. You'd probably still take the Massa -3. Like that's the level of difference between the Massa and literally every other sword in the game. The only difference, and I think we saw a little bit of a back and forth in chat, is between Vorpal or Katana and Massa due to the higher crit rate. That is the only exception to weapons that have something that's better than Massa, and that's the Vorpal or Katana crit rate. Other than that, Massa's gonna win, period.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things, like, the big thing that matters with the minusing on the Massa is if it rolls really low, and one of the other in-game swords rolls really high. Like, if you have a Katana +5, or a Massa +5, or an X-Cal +5, you might put that on your primary DPS if they can use it, instead of the Massa.
Yeah.
But otherwise, the Massa is still one of the best swords in the game, even with a massive penalty.
Yeah. I saw Tetron put in, Sun Sword is damage 30, X-Cal's 45, Defense is up there as well. I think Defense is in between Sun Sword and X-Cal. Difference is that X-Cal has a high damage, and it always uses the what's it called, elemental weakness of whatever enemy you're fighting, but its crit rate is garbage. So the fact that you have a garbage crit rate on the X-Cal is why most of us don't use it, especially when it comes to the end game. Because crit is more important than damage when it comes to... Oh, Petron's proving me wrong, where defense is right around Sunsword.
Yeah, Petatron, that's right on that. Sunsword's 32, defense is 30. Those are my two favorite swords in the game, so I know those by heart. Like, defense, and that's something that a lot of people, I think, don't realize. The defense sword is actually a really solid in-game sword. Like,
yeah, oh yeah.
It has the same problem of X-Cal, of its crit rate is like most of the other weapons in the game, but... If you've got a defense sword and nothing better, you can still finish the game. It's just a little bit slower. But you also have a Ryu's casting weapon, so...
Yeah, again...
You have more of attrition.
This is, again, a very interesting seed. It's a very kind seed. It's very good for these flags. It's very good to get your feet wet on. You know, we had those Blizzard oozes in Earth, which kind of make you think. You had to rank a little bit in terms of the order in which you do your incentive turn-ins. We've seen a lot of consistency between our runners, but I think they're approaching it well. We're chatting back and forth about a lot of these little comparisons in terms of endgame, but at the moment I like a lot of these ideas that we're seeing. We saw the Oxyale come from Ordeals, which is a great pickup. And we saw, I think, a Chime from Matoya. Yep.
Yeah, and we got the bottle out of Sages, so, like...
and then the bottle turned into Black Shirt.
Alright, yeah, that's not bad at all. So the Black Shirt, I mean... It's a free Blizzard cast.
Right.
Or Blizzara, but...
Ice 2. Go back to the old school.
Like I mentioned before, like the other day I was sick and just replayed FF1 Dawn of Souls version. So I've got all of those names on the head. But regardless. So Ravioli... Also making the trip into Volcano. Let's see if how this War Mech fight goes. Woo Bear went ahead and handled Ordeals and got that Oxyale. I'm not sure. I think he's in the on-rack area now, so which is the logical thing to do because we don't have the cube. Yep. So we're still looking for our ability to finish out Sky.
Right. So I mean, we're really looking at, you know, this Waterfall and Sea Shrine play. We've seen the Ruse Stick. The only thing that we don't have is Tail and Bonk, or the Saber Gauntlet. So, and there is a guaranteed item in Sky. So, we're going to see the Saber Gauntlet or the... Actually, you know what? We have to see the Saber Gauntlet or the Tail in Sky. It's got to be one of those two.
I could see a universe where Robot has the cube and then the key is in Sky.
Ooh, sorry. It's Sin Pyro pointing out that War Mech had the Cure 4. And Ravioli got hit by that one.
The thing is that's good intel for Ravioli.
Right.
Because now Ravioli knows, okay, no matter what else happens in Temple of Fiends, I don't have to worry about damage racing any of the bosses down.
Right. And as a reminder, that's all of the spells and skills for all of the second round bosses, all the Topher bosses, and War Mech are all pooled together. So that's why the Cure 4 on a War Mech means that you're not going to see a Cure 4 in Topher.
Yeah, because there's only the one in the pool that Chaos normally casts. So,
yeah, and I think
herb out of the waterfall, by the way.
Yeah, I think Chad's right that without having all of those extra nuke casters, that War Mech fight is definitely more difficult. The other thing that Wu Bear witnessed was a punch in round 1, which I think Ravioli got the Fire 3 in round 1.
Yeah.
So he did get an extra turn, which I think really did make the big difference here. But
Yeah,
Wu Bear going to check this incentive before doing Kraken.
Yeah, no, I don't hate it, because, like, at this point, we still need Cube, we still need Key. Probably we're going to want that tail. I haven't been paying too much attention to what gear we've been finding, but...
Yeah, the one thing I haven't seen is a ribbon, which makes me a little bit nervous, because, you know, in my practice run earlier today, I got zapped by Kraken 2, and that is just going to happen in any of these flag sets. So having a ribbon is definitely something that you want to have in the forefront of your mind.
Yep, well, there's our cube out of the slab chest. And Kumo, speaking of these elemental defenses, I think I saw a Dragon Armor -2 over there in the Sharknado room.
Wow. That's a nice pickup.
Yeah, so, just as a quick rundown for folks who may not be as familiar. In Final Fantasy I, you have 8 elements, which pretty much every skill has, with a few exceptions. The way the game determines, like, how badly these things affect you, or if they affect you at all, is by looking at elemental resistances. So, like, you know, you have 4 abilities that use the death element. So the Pro Ring will protect you against those, or lower it to almost perfect protection. You always have a chance of crit failure. The ribbon gives you resistance to every element, the same way the wall spell does. What I'm looking at with that dragon armor is you can, at least with the knight, put together what I like to call the poor man's ribbon, where you use the dragon armor to get resistance to fire, lightning, and ice, the pro ring to get resistance to death, and then the Aegis shield to get resistance to poison. And that covers 5 of the 8 elements, and the other 3 are a problem. You can probably bull through them with that knight's magic defense.
Yeah. Well, and the big one is time, because time, the skill for time is, spell for time is zap, and since you can get zapped in Topher, the only things that protect against zap, natural M-Death, the ribbon, and the black shirt. So that's why it's a little bit worrisome. There's also the status element, which I want to say the ribbon only does status, but there's not insta-death with that one.
Yeah. I was going to point out, though, the thing with Zap is it's not a very strong... Like, you can kinda M-Def your way past Zap if you have decent enough levels or M-Def gain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the reason Zap is time, when you get Zapped, it says you get transferred to the 4th dimension, which kind of implies some sort of thing of time. I don't know.
There's the crown
too.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's called Zap because they had 4 letters to work with in, like, whatever it was called in the vanilla Japanese game. They weren't going to make that work with 4 letters.
Yeah. So it's more like Banish or one of those kinds of dimensional spells.
Yeah, I believe in the remakes it's like usually called something like Banish or X-Zone or
Yeah, X-Zone.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of FF6's X-Zone.
Yeah. But time is the 4th dimension, so I guess if you're looking for the 4th dimension analogy. Anyway.
Okay,
There's a game being played. We should probably talk about the game a little bit.
just real quick, I'm just going to point out, no, it makes sense to say you're banished to the 4th dimension. It's probably it's the equivalent of shoving someone to the side.
Right.
It's just in this case, instead of shoving them to the side in 3 dimensions, you shove them to the side in 4 dimensions, and they're no longer your problem.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so we do have 4 all making most of their way through this seed. This herb does turn into the key, which means that we are in no mode at this point. We know where everything is. I want to say save for the tail, and I'm trying to kind of beat my brain a little bit to figure out where this other incentive is.
It's Astos and Sky. We have tracker
Astos
notes.
is the other one.
We
I'm
have
sorry.
tracker notes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I should look at that. There's the tail. Yeah, I forgot about Astos, and I see the blank there in our tracker notes. So, we have tail here in Northwest Castle with the kindly old king, and that means that Sky has to have the saber gauntlet. The difficulty with Sky, and I really like this from this flag set, is that Sky is behind gating, which means it is a random chest on Sky 1, 2, or 3, and it is not in the vanilla incentive location. So it's definitely an item that you'd want to pick up, but...
Just real quick, DVS.
Mm-hmm.
I think Woo Bear forgot he didn't do Matoya.
No, I think he went down and did Matoya.
Okay, now I just got... Okay.
Yeah, I think I see that it's not lit on the tracker, but I feel like I saw him go down and do that.
Well, I saw it on his item menu just now.
Cool.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
But we do, speaking of which, we do see Woo Bear in a fairly commanding lead over other runners on screen here. Woo Bear with 3 orbs lit versus 1 orb for Akumo and Shadow, Mr. T, as well as 2 orbs for Ravioli. I think we've seen our other runners fade Volcano, which I even talked about. Water Temple's definitely tough to get through on an average playthrough, but Woo Bear definitely has 3 nuke casters plus a mass immune, so that's going to give him quite the edge over his opponents here. I think each of his opponents got blizzarded by oozes, which I don't think Woo Bear saw, and had other little speed bumps in the way. So I agree. I think he's been routing very well, but there's also he's been getting decent luck throughout this run.
Yeah, I will point out Shadow did collect that tail and has opted to class change.
Mm-hmm.
So, he does at least have a little more flexibility with gear. Also now has that knight able to cast Life in Life 2. Both things very nice. Yeah, Woo Bear not stopping for anything at this point. Because, just as a reminder to folks who may not be aware, this is not just these 4 runners. This is a field of, I believe, 11 competitors?
Let me find out for you.
I can look it up.
11. Yep.
Yep. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Woo Bear right now trying to go ahead and get off to an early lead in the point scoring for this Duckling Derby, which is scored basically following Mario Kart rules, where the higher you place, the more points you get, and getting to the finals means you gotta have among the most points. So, long story short, Woo Bear at this point going, you know what? I have way too many nukes and a fighter swinging a Masa. This is good enough. I'm just gonna go for it. I do have it, and I think he did pick up Temper at some point. We saw that at level 3 black. So he's got 2 Temper casters in theory.
Right. Well, he's got 2 Temper casters. He's got a Ruse Stick. He's got a Massa. I mean, just so many things.
Yeah, and that saber is not a big enough difference maker. Like, maybe if it were a fast glove, he might stop for it, but at this point, it's just pile up the bonuses on this fighter and let's go.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking. Did Kumo stop to deal with War Mech, or did he not see it?
I don't remember seeing a War Mech on his screen, but I've been bouncing around a little bit. I do want to point out Ravioli's screen right now. Ravioli, the runner on stream who decided to take the black belt with him, and they're running into the classic clash between the fighter party and the black belt party, which is the grind to get the black belt up and going.
I do not like an overworld grind with these. Like, it looks like there's a quick encounter off of Power Cycle, but Ravioli saw the Agama.
Right.
In Earthcade. Like, I think, like, that's your grind. You just kill everyone, and you go kill Agamas, 5 steps from the door. Your black belt has night spells. You've got 4 heal 3s, 4 cure 3s. You can life up your party when you're done. I don't know. I dislike this play. Like, if you didn't have the Agamas, it'd be a better play. Oh, hey, there's a white shirt +3. I don't know if we saw that in Volcano.
Yeah, I don't think Blue Bear found it, but holy smokes, 43 minutes and 50 seconds. Blue Bear is doing their final house to dive into Topher here. So we have a Topher entrance at around 44 minutes flat from Blue Bear. Yeah, I mean, if he runs this well, we're looking at absolutely a sub-60. Probably looking at low 50s.
Yeah, I was going to say, depending on how soft this... All of the tiles in the game, and you wound up on that one. Yeah. Thanks, Phantom.
Gotta love that vanilla Phantom tile. Shadow picking up the Katana -1 in Mermaids by opening up those extra boxes, though. That's kind of nice.
And that is convenient for Shadow, because he does have a ninja to work with there. I mean, it is one of those things, Shadow, oh hey, there's the defense sword. I think it rolled +3. But yeah, that's the thing, is for, whatchamacallit. Okay.
And there's our ribbon.
+4. And our tracker, Shadaus, letting us know that is, in fact, a defense +5. But, either way, good sword. And that kind of gets back to what we were talking about before. What kind of weapon would you need to go, I might swing this instead of a Masa minus whatever? That's getting up there. That's kind of near the bottom of that range where you might hand the Masa to your secondary DPS and swing that defense with your primary.
Yeah, I mean, that again, it's a strong sword, plus it also is another ruse cast. So even if you don't want to use it for the offensive capability, it's a second ruse item that you can easily throw in your white mage or something like that if you want that.
Yeah. And we have a quick question in chat about blursings, so I'm just going to throw that back up on screen real quick. But to answer the question, the red mage did get the Thief's Luck Growth for today's seed. So, that is your question.
Why they're front.
Coming from, yeah.
So, Blue Bear still going just blazing fast here in Topher, hitting carry 2 already. Not surprising. Newt casts and probably a swing by this Melissa is probably going to take him down in 1, maybe 1.5 rounds. There you go. So now getting down to the sea floor, which is not only known for its nasty boss, but also some pretty nasty encounters on the way here.
Yeah, DVS, I'm just going to jump in real quick, because I just saw this comment in chat. Bulldozer Man, Ravioli is not getting owned up there. Ravioli is intentionally getting those characters killed. Because in FF1, experience is divided across all living party members. So he is deliberately leaving only the black belt alive to funnel all of that experience from the Tyro and the Wyvern into the black belt to accelerate level growth. Alright, you can continue, DVS.
Okay. I pointed that out as well, because it's a very important aspect of the grind. We are on Kraken 2 here. We just got through our first round of just throwing nukes out and a swing. Lit 2 from Kraken isn't going to do anything. It's one of those nice spells that you like to see coming from Kraken. No point to do fast or tempers here, just because of the extra nuke casts. You can pretty much go through this entire Topher throwing out nukes, and you'll probably have enough to get all the way through, given what we've seen so far.
All right. And yeah, no, this is a blazingly fast Temple of Fiends revisited, and also shoutouts to the Owl's Nest for raiding with a about 10 people. Much appreciated. Glad to have y'all with us. You're coming in. It's somehow both at the end game and the mid game of this scene.
A little bit.
Like Woobear's kind of blown everything out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone else is still kind of in the middle of this race.
Yeah, ooh, War Mech also has a nuke. So that War Mech has Tier 4, he has Fire 3 followed by Tier 4 followed by nuke.
And something
Kumo
that
just
stuns.
Getting the nasty end of that.
I didn't see what he cast that has stun. I know that we turned off stun touch for this one. But
yeah, I didn't see either.
Yeah.
But wow, Woobear's already past Tier 2. Woobear's Dead Pulse confirmed. He definitely has Dead Pulse luck, and I can vouch for that. So let's see what happens with this chaos here. We've got nuke, just nuke. Ruse coming out from the fighter, Smoke Plague. 121 is very low for a nuke, and Poison Touch coming from chaos.
I mean, it's better than Death Touch Chaos, which we've seen before.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Still nukes coming out. Chaos still got a shot in, even though it was only one hit. Getting some low rolls here from the nukes, getting the 150 to 200s, but that's not going to stop you from casting 3 nuke casts every turn.
That's still 500 to 600 HP around.
Oh, absolutely. And, I mean, he punched the White Mage and the White Mage didn't go down. That's not surprising. So after the nukes are gone, now we're switching over to tempers on that Red Mage, or that fighter, even though he's on his knee. Don't have to worry about Tier 4, but Woobear doesn't know that, because he never saw that on the War Mech. Tempers on this fighter with the Massa. 1 hit for 37 damage, which means I don't know if he brought Lock with him, but this is why you try to keep a Lock's cast in your back pocket here.
He couldn't have. Little behind the scenes peek, Lock is level 7, Lock 2 is level 8.
Wow. Yeah, that's one of those spells that you always want to keep in the back of your mind. 3 hits there, only for 300. I don't think we picked up Fast either.
Fast was in on rack with Lock.
Okay, so that... Oh, and there we go. 3 hits for 4 something. Woobear has finished with an official racetime.gg time of 50 minutes and 44 seconds. GG's to Woobear, and we are joined here in the booth by the first place finisher on stream and first place out of everyone in the race. GG's, Woobear.
That's me. GG's. Hello.
Yeah, Woobear, I've got to be honest, the difference maker is that you went for that War Mech and pulled it off.
Yeah.
I mean, I had 3 nukes and... I mean, I wasn't super high level, but 3 nukes. I mean, what else do you need, really?
I mean, the War Mech had Cure 4 and a stun ability, and I think it was packing a nuke, and you got some good high rolls. Like that could have gone very poorly for you very quickly, but it didn't, so it worked.
Yeah.
If it nuked me, I might have just pieced out and not went back.
I mean, that's what Ravioli and Kumo pretty much did, is they gave it 1 shot and then were like, I think I'm good. I do not think I need a Masa -3 that much. They don't know it's a Masa -3, but...
That was the biggest wet noodle fighter I think I've ever had in one of these.
Well, to be fair, your fighter was also, what, 9 levels behind the rest of your party for most of that seed?
Yeah, War Mech did not appreciate the fighter specifically.
Yeah, I mean,
Very
it's one of those things, like, a fighter doesn't need as many levels as a mage.
No, he was still rocking almost 700 HP, so it was like, no big deal.
Alright. So, words. Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to kind of think through all of the, like, you went blindingly fast,
Yeah.
so I feel like I'm trying to, like, think through everything that just happened.
Yeah, I
I
think I want to say that the thing that marked, so don't get me wrong. Great routing. I think we had a long discussion about to do the volcano play after Crescent Lake versus not to do the volcano play after Crescent Lake, which was 50-50, and it ended up really working out for you. But it's not what you did see that was the issue, it's more what you didn't see. Like, I don't know if you saw the blizzard on the oozes in Marsh Cave and Earth Cave.
I don't think so.
There was the Cure 4 the nuke on the War Mech. We've seen some ugly things in some of the dungeons, and I think part of the fact that you made the decision to bring Fighter Rainbow, which ended up getting you 3 nuke casts.
Yeah, I was very happy when I saw nuke at level 1. I was like, then I saw the white mage raise her hands. I was like, oh yeah, that's level 1 black mage spells. That's cool.
Yeah, so I think seeing that just kind of put you off at the very beginning with a party that's able to just speed and power their way through the whole rest of the game. But also, again, clean routing, good movement. I felt like the seed was fairly linear. Somewhat annoying, but fairly linear.
There's no like major double dips or anything, which I was pretty happy about. I'm a much better downhill runner, so like 3 nukes, I'm very happy. And there was like a decent hero run off the hard reset off the first encounter, after the first encounter, I should say. So that was also nice to see. Yeah. I might have got sub 50 if I remembered that I was in go mode instead of going to Astos, but I was like, oh yeah, I have literally everything that I need.
Yeah.
I mean, flip side to it, if Astos had the Saber Bonk, you know, you might have made that time up just being able to get a little extra, like, mileage out of your fighter.
I'll be honest, I might have saved scummed out of that.
You might have, but anyway, what was I going to say, though? So, I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, well,
I think we broke Woe.
No, chat pointed something out, and I was going to correct myself there. Kumo did go back and pick up that Masa, so just wanted to go ahead and correct that real quick for folks who may not be paying close attention or watching the VOD later. But that being said, no, I mean, it's just, I think DVS kind of covered a lot of sort of the groundwork there, where you just sort of, having those nuke casters let you apply the speed and power strategy, where the best defense in Final Fantasy 1 is to not give anything a chance to do bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that...
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think you found a ribbon either, right?
No, that's the main thing I was worried about, because I didn't have wall or ribbon, so I was like, then Topher is kind of scary, but yeah, like you were saying, just nuke everything and hope that they don't cast anything horrible at me.
Yeah. For the record, Cure 4, Wall, Fast, and Lock were all in on rack.
Yeah. At that point, I was like, not gonna bother. Even though I probably had the levels for the charges, but yeah, I was like,
Yeah. I know that whenever, after your War Mech fight, all of your spellcasters were at level 19.
Yeah.
So that basically, you know, we kind of talked about how that really, especially with these flags, that 19 is what you need, like, in an average game in Topher, let alone before you actually light any orbs. So, yeah, that was a great, yeah.
Again, I don't think I've been that level going through Volcano and this flag set.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
What level did your mages wind up on? I'm kind of curious now. Do you know?
I can check right quick.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm just curious now.
I still got the seat open.
Yeah.
27. Although that's 27 pre-Topher.
Pre-Topher. Yeah,
So
so
I don't know if they
probably
gave anything in there.
Yeah, they probably ended up somewhere in the 28, 29 range if you picked up many levels. So
And the fighter was surprisingly 25, so that wasn't actually as bad as I thought.
yeah, no, I mean it's one of those things you kind of unintentionally ground your mages, and then your fighter just played enough catch up to be useful.
Yeah, that was the other thing I was gonna say. I was doing run nuke just to throw out a nuke, and like almost every time the black mage was getting the nuke first. Like the turn order was very insane.
Which that extra level 1 MP on the black mage was probably also very appreciated.
That's kind of why I was doing it as well. I was like, he can nuke pretty much forever, and then I got money early, so I bought some houses, so I didn't have to worry about that. I usually try and get those early because I like to cast all the things. I think my play for selling the Thor, Zeus Gauntlet was a Thor Hammer? I can't remember. I think it was good to sell it because I had the 3 nukes and it was a lot of money early. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we saw Zeus Gauntlet and Earth.
Yeah, I'm all about the early sale to pick up a little bit of extra items. You can sell some crazy stuff in this game that, especially in the early game, to pick up. I think in one race I sold a ribbon, and that I was like the only one that did it. And I don't know if it was a good decision or a bad decision, but definitely did that once at least.
It's like in Final Fantasy IV when you sell the crystal sword to assert the dominance.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've definitely sold the Masa in Seeds before.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, like, I think in that case I had a Masa but couldn't afford my progression item, and it was early enough to where I couldn't outpace it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so Shadow Strategist did something intelligent. He had a full inventory for weapons. So he was able to peek what the Masa's stats looked like before opening the box.
I didn't even think of that.
I don't know if that was on purpose, but you know what? I'm gonna give credit.
I'm gonna have to, because I know you can do that in the week 2, because there's a lot of trap chests. But I didn't even think it's a Masa. Why would you do it? But yeah, you get to see the stats, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's see here though.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of party discussions in chat at the moment, and we didn't really talk about party that much because we were talking about other things. But go ahead and just talk through your thinking behind your party, and then we can kind of talk about benefits and downsides to different party makeups here.
Well, I love Thief just because agility and lockpicking and stuff, but they don't have lockpicking here, so that. Most of my practices, I've gone fighter either Rainbow or fighter Oreo or whatever, something. At least 2 casters on the white mage because I like having the guaranteed life 2, and all that goodness. So yeah, for most of my practices, I haven't gone Thief on this, and I've never gone Black Belt. Well, just too much grinding.
Black Belt
for
this flag set? I was gonna say for this flag set or for just in general.
Yeah, no, for this flag set, and also week 2 because there's no trap tiles. So I don't know. Desert grind seems long, or it can be, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, with Desert Grind, you are entirely at the mercy of the RNG table.
Yeah, exactly.
You can probably get away with like a walking grind. It's just you're not necessarily going to get ultimate power going that way with a black belt.
Yeah, I'm interested in the white mage in particular. What had you pick the white mage for this run?
I don't like to loot a lot of things, so I tend to not get ribbons and all that fun stuff. So I like having the wall, and like I said, guaranteed life 2. Well, not guaranteed, but mostly guaranteed life 2, life 1. And I also don't like using heal potions. So if I can get like heal 3, heal 4. Stuff like that. That's great. I think I only used like 5 heal potions at the very end. I don't think I used anything other than that.
So how much did the level 1 black play into the decision?
How much did the what, sorry?
The level
level
1
one
black Lursing.
Oh, I barely even noticed it, honestly. I was gonna go that party pretty much regardless. I briefly looked at him, and I didn't see anything. Like I said, I saw the white mage raise her hands with the nuke. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I think, so when I did my earlier, run this morning, I did Fighter, Thief, Red, Black, which I feel like, first of all, I hate red mages and I like white mages, so that was difficult for me. But I thought it was interesting, especially since with the spring tournament having that extra harm flag on for the white mages, kind of going back and seeing the choices behind bringing white mages versus not bringing white mages. Comes up a little bit more in the conversation.
Yeah, not to spoil anything, but next week I'm 1,000,000,000% going white mage as well. Harm all, life in battle, it's just all the good stuff. And they get 1.5 times XP, which isn't massive, but still, it's something.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, I'm all about the white mages.
I think get enough love.
It's funny because I'm looking at these parties in front of us, and just speaking of parties again, and we spoke at the very beginning here that this is still a learning experience, and the goal of this is to any critiques we make is about how can we run better as runners.
Yeah, absolutely.
But seeing, I know that Greg and Dead Pulse did like a 45-minute rant on taking a nun with you. But I think that has been an interesting thing that's hit Kumo this run.
Side.
It is, you get that blizzard in Earth with those oozes, or you get, not getting that level 1 nuke where you could have another nuke caster. It's one of those, it's very easy to go from 4 to 3, but it's impossible to go from 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And so I think that hit them a little bit today. And then Ravioli really got punished from taking the black belt this seed.
Yeah.
Just because they had that, there was an Agama in the Giants, but they went for the overworld ground on Tyros, and they just ended up adding an extra 10-15 minutes on them.
Yeah, it's
War Mech.
It's especially hard to get like some of your party members dead by the time that they're actually useful. Like you got to get the black belt to the point where you can actually like one shot the things, so they have to get levels, and then at that point they have levels, so they have a lot of HP.
Yeah.
It's very tricky.
Yeah, black belt, like running a black belt is incredibly difficult, especially running a black belt fast. And I'm sure there's going to be a week here that favors towards the black belt.
Week 4.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a chance to look through every flag set. But I looked at this one and was 100% to 150 HP for the bosses.
Week 4 is my jam. I just want to.
Just to jump in here between you two, because I know y'all are having fun talking about all this. Ravioli and Shadow Mr. T both have 4 orbs lit. Kumo getting close to the top of air. We're going to see all 3 of these guys getting into Topher at probably within about 4 minutes of each, with about a 4-minute spread between first and third entries.
Yeah, this is going to be real tight. I'm excited to see what I didn't have happen to me in Topher. I'm sure there's some nasty things that I missed, avoided. Because it was, all in all, pretty generous. Even Kraken, who I'm petrified of, like, did Lightning 2, I think, twice or something like that. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
So, Woobear, one interesting thing I noticed, and I commented on this.
I'm very excited to watch this back, by the way. Get all the commentary.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly us talking about all sorts of random things, but anyway. So you get the crystal out of Narek. And you don't immediately chase it. Was your plan there?
That was an
just
accident.
Essentially? Okay, I was thinking that's what I was going to get at. Was that your intention, or
No, that was an accident. My routing was going to be bottle slab, and then Crystal. But I totally forgot about the Crystal. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I gotta go backtrack down there a bit. I wasn't too far out of the way. Luckily, I was only near Cardia and all that, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, my routing was gonna be a lot less Crystal.
Yeah. See, that's what I was thinking. Your plan was all along. Was, all right, yeah, check for Crystal. You know, I'm doing some of these northern continent checks. You can just pop down to the top of the southern continent and go to that river right by her cave.
I was being silly.
Hey, it still worked out. I mean, granted, I missed when you grabbed the chime, so I didn't see exactly when you did it, but there are 4 of you. Alright, so Ravioli already almost down to Lich. Kumo about to take on Tiamat, and Shadow doing some last-minute restocks before heading in. So... I'm just trying to think. So, did you actually have any plans diving this Temple of Fiends beyond? I'm just going to nuke everything.
Yeah, no, that was pretty much my plan. I'm gonna nuke and hope that there's no bracks or, you know, any, I guess, nukes even, anything like that. Any sort of auto wipes, because that would have been something I couldn't really handle. Unless I get very lucky and they left my Life 2 casters alive. I did have 2 of them, so, you know, it's something. But, yeah, no, that was my plan. Just nuke and because, like, I've done this a few times, and I... Generally, the first 3 Fiends are very squishy. Tiamat's a little bit tougher, but still nukeable. And then, yeah, Chaos, I figured I'd have some nukes left over, and then I had my temper back up, which luckily it worked out in the end. But yeah, that was my general ideas. Many nukes.
I mean, it worked. You still had nukes on Chaos.
Yeah. Also, I'm realizing, watching Ravioli, they have Fade at level 4. I completely forgot to check Elfland White Magic, so that's the thing.
Yeah, no, I mean there was some good stuff out there, but like, yeah, it was like everything you wanted was in the first 4 levels of Magic, except for like Cure 4 Wall, Fast, and Lock, which were all at level 7 on a rack.
And Exit, I guess, where it was Exit?
Exit was level 5 white.
Okay,
obviously level 5.
Didn't check at that point, yeah.
Yeah, it was slot 2 level 5, and then Invis 2 was slot 2 level 6.
I didn't have too many like things that I needed to exit out at that point, and I had Warp, so I wasn't too worried about it, but I probably should have checked still.
So
yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Just to bump in a little bit, since we are getting towards the end of Topher here with Ravioli's stream, one of the things I was thinking as soon as Ravioli entered, because we saw Ravioli and Shadow Mr. T come in right around the same time, is that Ravioli is absolutely going to finish this dive. There's no question. 42 black belt, it's gonna be done. Shadow Mr. T running into some trouble here. That with a 43 black belt you're just not going to experience, and Kumo not that far behind. Ravioli has a stun teeth, doesn't even care about it. Temper going off on the black belt, doing the ruse just for some safety. Fade, because why not? It's there. Chaos again, just not hitting very hard, which is a nice little benefit, something to be happy about. Black belt's first hit, 1,081 damage, which is definitely going to, that's half of Chaos's vanilla HP, so it's not going to be that much longer here. Next punch does 642, so we're probably looking for one more punch here from this black belt, and we're going to be looking for GG's for Ravioli. Let's see after these next 2 tempers come out, or if he just gets the punch. 7 hits, 1,008 damage. Let's get some GG's in chat for Ravioli. We have Shadow Mr. T here on Lich 2. Kumo coming in. Gonna be heading towards that momentarily.
Alright, so let's do a quick rundown then of what we're looking at in terms of how things have shaken out in the game. So, Ravioli, with that official time of 1:11:22, finishes in 7th place. But jumping back all the way up, Woobear obviously finished in 1st. Hate the 13th and Dark Twinge finished in 2nd and 3rd, separated by a second. Hate finished at 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 37 seconds. Dark Twinge finished at 1 hour, 2 minutes, and 38 seconds.
So is that a tie? How does that work?
I have no idea, and I'm sure that someone more knowledgeable than me is already trying to figure out what to do about that.
So we're in the Duck Derby planning room. We're doing a retime at the moment. So
Alrighty.
we'll let you know.
Alright, so moving on. In 4th place, we have Khan, who finished at 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 17 seconds. In 5th place, we have Crit Rocket Runner, who has rated us with a party of 14. Thank you, Crit. Finishing at 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 32 seconds. Uriel Man X7 finished at 1 hour, 10 minutes, and 57 seconds for 6th place, and that brings us back around to Ravioli. Just in time to look up to see Shadow Mr. T is in the water floor, and Kumo is in the earth floor, and Ravioli has joined us in the broadcast booth, although still muted, so it will probably take a moment before they
I was
can
about
hear
to
us
say,
say
too,
GP.
I don't want to cramp you guys, as you've had me in here for a while, and I appreciate it.
Woobear, you can stick around as long as
Yeah.
you want to. We usually, like, if folks want to stick around, it's fun to make everyone, it's fun to have everyone in here talking about it.
Yeah, I'm having a good time, so.
Yeah, and Ravioli was saying that they've been having computer issues because a 10 minute delay on stream does a lot to your computer. So we might be waiting for their stream to end before they're able to actually join the release. But again, we do have a continued fight and a continued fight here. Basically on the stream. We did last shot we that just was the person going to make this continued fight go very quickly, and Kumo appeared at Lich 2, former Lich 2,
Going
Yeah,
well. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I personally, it's slow enough to where if I have to choose between Brack and Nuke, I'm just going to throw Brack. Or not Brack, I'm going to just throw Nuke, because I can probably kill it faster that way. Yeah, that is kind of the tricky thing with the Fiend fights, is just like, you know, if you don't have damage to throw out, then you can start going for instant kills, but if you got damage, you're probably better off just trying to blow it down as quick as you can.
Yeah, if you're relying on Bragg to go through Tofa, then you might need to do some looting or something. I don't know.
Then you're doing some really weird challenge, so you want to
Yeah. That's what
apparently stream mic audio is broken right now. Okay, we'll see if that fixes anything.
Hey, can you hear me okay? It's Ravioli.
Hey, Ravioli, GG. I don't know if they can hear me right now.
Ravioli, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, yeah.
Awesome. GG, how you feeling with that?
Yeah, oh, wow, that was the first time I raced. It was quite exciting. All the nerves just kind of build up and keep you moving and thinking it's quite a time.
I still remember that the first time I did a run was pretty. I mean, we still get nervous during run, but I know that doing that plus being on a stream is it's a lot. It's a lot. So congratulations.
Thank you.
DVS. All right. So Math Girl is back. And all right. Hopefully
So-
that means that everyone will be able to hear us shortly, and I'm sure Chad will let us know when they can.
So, okay, it seems like that's better. Okay, cool.
All right. So now that we've derailed your one-track mind. All right. So we're back, everyone. Ravioli GGs.
They're catching on to us. We
Oh,
gotta go back to the
GGs.
underground lizard home.
All right. So Shadow currently working his way through this chaos fight, but in the meantime, so Thief, Black Belt, White Black. Was that was your group, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So what was sort of your reasoning there?
I like the thief for the quick runs. I think the black belt just he's kind of reliable if you can grind him, and I choose white black in case you can get an early exit and warp. I like those quick movements along with the running from battles, and I got the warp on the black mage and Fade in Life too. It felt worthwhile to keep them up for a bit, and then once I could grind and then just drop them all. So that was kind of my party strategy.
Makes sense. Just real quick, GG's to Shadow Mr. T for finishing off Chaos, and I suspect that Kumo is not going to be too terribly far behind. That is an official racetime.gg time for Shadow of 1 hour, 18 minutes, and 15 seconds. Ravioli, just real fast.
Sure.
We know you saw those Agamas in Earth Cave.
Yeah, so I didn't have enough housing. I felt to I run out of spell charges before I could grind, so I abandoned it. And then once without the airship, I said, "Oh, I'm gonna lose this grind." But I found a bit slower grind in desert. But first race I kind of panicked in some of my decision making. But
I
lived with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things, it's understandable, but it is one of those things I was wondering if it was that you forgot about the Agama, or if it was a situation where it was like, by the time you were in a position where you were ready to grind, you just sort of were not comfortable going all the way back to Earth Cave for that grind.
I couldn't decide if it would be efficient to go back to Earth Cave or take the desert grind, and I probably would have been faster in Earth Cave, but
GG's to Kumo.
Yeah, GG's to
Yeah,
Kumo.
GG.
So we're hopefully going to get everyone in here, and then we can sort of break down the seed for everyone who isn't a speed fiend.
The other thing to mention too, little thing, if you're only taking the thief for the run, the red mage did have the thief luck bonus, so he could run as well as the thief, which was funny.
yeah, I should have taken the red mage, I guess.
That's what it is. If you're only taking it just for the running, then they have more utility, yeah. But like thieves obviously have like katanas and different cool things.
So, yeah, and Shadow, GG
That's fair
as
too.
well
Dark
to
Twin
you.
mentioned thief luck scaling is a thing too, so that is fair.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure my browser lagged, because I swear I hit the done timer as soon as I killed Chaos, but I think it lagged for a second.
It's fine. It's not like you were twinge and hate.
Yeah, I was going to say, at least it wasn't that issue. GG's.
Yeah, and there is Kumo, so hey, the gang's all here.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well, GG. Alright,
GG's.
so, Shadow and Kumo, you both, let's see, Shadow, I believe you opted for what? Fighter, Thief, Red, Black?
Yep.
And Kumo, you went Fighter, Red, White, None.
Mm-hmm.
So, either of you want to hold forth any thoughts on why on earth you went with that party in particular?
Well, my first previous test runs of seed, I tried a 4-man party, and I was pulling somewhere between 2 hours to an hour and 30 minutes. So when I dropped down to the 3-man party, I was able to knock off quite a bit of time, finishing between 130 to 120. Today I picked the red mage because he had the thief luck, and also black belt didn't have any plus to hit, so I really didn't want to try to find a grind for it. So I went with the fighter, the red mage, and the white mage. Especially since white mage could pick up level 1 black spells, and lo and behold, nuke was.
Alright. Shadow, what about you? Just...
Well, I mean, normally I run thief, fighter, white, black, but I'm like, I was doing practice last night, and I was looking at the flags, and I'm like, wait a second. It doesn't have harm turned on for it. Okay, so just so I don't mess with my brain, accidentally buy harm and cast it and just have ineffective go off, I'm like, alright, I'll take the red mage. And so the thief luck, I'm like, well, I guess I have 2 runners now. Because for some reason, the thief sometimes just wants to fail to run, and it's not fun.
Because, that's how probability works, but...
Yeah.
Alright.
Just a quick thought. This is more of an FYI. Misconception with the thief luck flag. So the thief luck doesn't give you thief luck. The thief luck flag gives you thief luck growth, which means you're gonna get luck every single level, but you're starting at a much lower amount of luck than a thief does.
Yes, yeah, I thought you started at 15, so it's good to know. I learned that as well.
Yeah, so
I did not know that.
Yeah, so so honestly, a red mage with thief luck is still not that great in terms of luck. It's absolutely better than a vanilla thief. Someone with luck plus 15 is a phenomenal blurse for anybody. But I know that when that flag first came out, there was a lot of discussion about what that meant. So wanted to throw out the clarification, since a lot of people are typically unaware of that.
Right.
It's definitely good to know. Because I just assumed that it was they get their luck stat, and I was like, ooh, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Well, and if you, our devs have gotten creative with some of those blursings, so now there are protections against specific elements or weaknesses against elements and all sorts of weird stuff. I believe the devs have a nice log of what all of them mean.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Alright. So, the 3 of you who are not named Woo Bear probably are wondering how on earth that 50-44 happened.
I call black belt. I call black belt.
No.
No.
Woo Bear took Fighter Rainbow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was
And
just 3 nukes, honestly.
more importantly, Woo Bear went to Volcano early.
Mm-hmm.
For the Mazda.
I mean, it wasn't for the Mazda, I assume, because if you did go for the Mazda, Woo Bear, we're going to need to have a conversation after this is done. But no, so was it just sort of I'm already here in Crescent, at some point we're going to have to make this long row anyway, I might as well do it while I'm right here.
Well, the routing just made sense, because I did Ruby, I did Earth, so just heading left brings you to Crescent, and I knew I was strong enough for Volcano because I had the 3 nukes, so I wasn't too worried about that. Knocked that off because there's no floater, right? So there's no easy way to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just knocked that off, and then like I said, my plan was to go bottle, slab, crystal, which didn't turn out quite like that, but that was the plan. So yeah, go left, then go up, and then do the rest of the map.
But yeah, so what happened with Woo Bear is he gets into the volcano, finds that box, opens it, swings with the fighter, nukes with everyone else. War Mech swings at the fighter and kills the fighter in 1 punch.
So actually, I think the fighter
Actually,
lived.
2 punches. Yeah, the fighter
lived.
first punch, and it was the Fire 3 that finished him. But regardless,
Deleted.
yeah, basically, Woo Bear was able to get 2 rounds of triple nukes into the War Mech, and I think it took 1 more round of nukes after that to finish War Mech off. So
that
We
got
didn't
him to
even
level.
try any of the bad stuff.
That's the
that-
biggest thing. The levels were the most important part of it. The Mazza I didn't swing until Chaos, I don't think, for the most part.
Yeah.
That got him to level 19.
On his mages.
Just on that one fight with the mages. And then, and again, it was the fact that there were 3 nuke casts. I mean, and I don't think you saw, I think we asked, like, he didn't see the blizzard from the oozes, so I know you guys got wiped at least once by that.
Don't remind me of that.
I mean, to be fair to Woo Bear, I think didn't you solve most of your encounters by just casting nuke and
I would do run, nuke, and then I would always just get nuked before any of the runs went off. So it's like, all right. So yeah, it turned into a unintentional walking grind.
yeah. So it was one of those situations where a lot of it came down to here's a phrase I'm sure everyone's familiar with: speed and power.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and he didn't see we talked about the War Mech fight too, but not seeing the Cure 4 coming out of the War Mech also affected things. Didn't see the nuke.
Wait, it had nuke and Cure 4?
Yes,
Yeah.
it did.
I never even thought that.
So like it's one of those things of I'm more used to being on the other side and talking about all the horrible things that nobody else saw. But that that's really what it was. That made a very large difference here. You guys had very similar routing. I think, Kumo, to your point of having fewer party members, I think 3-man is very strong. Woo Bear went with 4-man for this seed, and I think for this seed it was the right choice. One of those things that helps is to take 4 and then just let one of them die at some point, and it kind of does the same thing, but you can also just have a meat shield in front of you. And then I think, again, once at some point in your careers, if you keep running and you want to go super fast, you're going to step into level 1 white, go, oh my, reset, and then bring a completely different party with you. So
I like you're saying how you put it, where like you can go from 4 to 3, but you can't go from 3 to 4, which makes sense.
Yeah, but again, I think there's so many different ways to play the game, but I think the party select had a unique impact on this particular seed because of the nuke at level 1 and the blurs on the white mage with the life at level 1. And it kind of just cascaded down. And the seed was very linear. I think that's one of the things of this flag set. This flag set is very linear. So all of those things work together.
Yeah, getting getting Ruby Rod and Slab early was nice, because some of my practice seeds from the past couple nights have been just garbage fires. Really, really horrible.
Yeah, so Shadow.
It's funny. I was actually, as soon as I saw that nuke level 1, I remembered divorcing the white mage. I'm like, do I reroll? And I'm like, I had to fall with my timer because I pressed the button that I thought I had set to it. It didn't. I apparently don't have hotkeys to do it on this.
Yeah. Now I was gonna say, so Shadow, I think you're the only runner on screen we saw have a moment of, wait, I can't go to Sarda yet.
Yep. I was like, oh right. Alright, what's this gonna Earth? So, like, how close are me and Woo Bear in terms of, like, going into Earth?
Pretty much everyone was pretty close. I think,
Yeah, I think all 3 of you were in Earth 3 of you were in Earth at the same time because
yeah, and Kumo, I think you had some
Marsh
unfortunate events happen in Marsh Cave.
I went top side, then I went bottom side.
Yeah.
That's right. It wasn't that
looking...
something bad happened. You just went into Marsh Cave and did everything.
Yeah, I was trying to look for money for the pizza or the ruby.
Yeah.
I just fended off the Thor hammer.
Yeah, I did the same. Before I even saw the ruby, I sold the Thor hammer almost immediately because I'm like 3 nukes. Why do I need a Thor hammer? Warrior can just do nothing for a while.
I feel like that's the summary of your seed was 3 nukes. Why do I play?
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. Knowing that you were looking for that extra money to buy the ruby makes sense of going up top and trying to look for some of that extra cash. But that was the only reason that all 3 of you weren't in Earth at the same time. You guys pretty much synced up in Provoca, and then kind of all did the same thing. And then the real split happened as people. I think Woobear killed Lich while Shadow and Ravioli both got wiped, and that started the cycle of starting the spread.
Yeah.
But I think that would be the point where things started to diverge. The second point was running into the Massa and getting bounced by War Mech 2 or 3 times, and those things just kind of cascaded out.
Yeah, it kind of came down to because Woobear got that early level 19 from that War Mech, just
allowed them to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every other dungeon, there was no situation where anyone was going to be doing those dungeons faster from that point forward.
Well, and like it's tough from the comm booth looking at a run like that, because basically at that point we kind of got into larger discussions about like damage stats on different swords and end game weapons versus mid game. We talked about all sorts of like game stuff outside of the routing, simply because at like level 19 with now like 20 something nuke cast, we kind of just were like, okay, Woobear's just like, he's gonna keep going through the seed. People ran into like ugly things as we as we went through, and we noted key items, but it kind of just hit pace from there. So I don't like looking at it. I don't think there's something that you would say like, oh, he did this thing phenomenally different than everybody else. He got the right party, and just
it sounds like I avoided like a lot of
through
the nasty stuff too, which was very convenient for me.
Well, but like you said, run nuke means that if you do see a nasty, then it gets pushed out. So I like in my case as a runner, I would always look at finishing 20, 30 minutes behind somebody and kind of have a just entire mental breakdown about it. And a lot of it has to do with when do you decide to just stop bouncing your head off of something, rerouting, like those kinds of things that just come from time.
You get very stubborn when things like that happen.
Oh yeah, I've spent half an hour bouncing out of a cave, and yeah, if you want to feel better about yourself, look for runs by DVS 7. And
DVS's RNG is the reason that it's in the name.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's some horrible stuff there. My very first Duck Derby seed, I bounced out of Topher 28 times, I think, something like that, 19 times. I think it was 19 times. I put together a highlight of it on my Twitch. But yeah, I was the very first person in Topher. 15 minutes later or something, 10 minutes later, then the first place person finished, and then I came in like 19th. And then my last race, which was like to try to get to first place, I wound up getting nuke ogred out of Volcano, a required Volcano, and the seed finished, and I was like, oh man, those nuke ogres. And everyone went, oh, the what? What? Sunday?
It's always funny when you finish a race and people are like, "Oh my god, that whatever," and it's like, "What?"
What?
And that's something I think merits mentioning, kind of piggybacking off what you were saying about finishing dramatically behind someone. And it's not to take away from you, Woobear, because your execution is very clean, your menuing's good, your movement's fantastic.
Thank you.
But it is one of those things. If Woobear makes like one different decision, if say Woobear you go,
well, if that War Mech bounced me, then that changes the game entirely.
Yeah, or if you say, you know what, I don't feel like going to Volcano yet. The river's boring, it's slow. Yeah, I've got 3 nukes, but you know what, I'd rather go do something else. You know, if you'd done that, if say if War Mech had a different setup, or if, you know, you didn't have those 3 nukes. Like, there's a lot that could have gone very slightly different, and it would have completely changed the complexion of the seed. So it's one of those things. I don't think anyone should look at how at Woobear's time and look at their own time and feel bad about it. Because it's not that you necessarily did anything wrong. It's just rando gonna rando. Sometimes someone does get all of the breaks and also has the ability to capitalize on them.
Yeah. Well, I just think, again, this is part of the reason why I love that we have a duckling program and the Duck Derby, which is a bunch of people who are newer to the game, learning about the game with other people learning about the game. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the boot camps. I hope that
I've been having a blast.
I hope, like, when classes graduate, like, it's weird because you have a graduating class, like, and from different servers and people that you keep up with for a while, just in gaming in general. And I have a number of people from my duckling class that I still keep in touch with, even if they're not very active in this particular server.
Yeah, I've already made a few friends. Like,
Yeah.
Bert's been helping me out, and shoutouts to Not Young Me. He's in Vicky and Mr. Abyss and them. They're really cool people. So we've been all kind of like practicing together.
And we do want to make sure we are on RPG Limit Break, and we want to thank RPG Limit Break for hosting us for today. We should wrap this up and get some final thoughts.
That's what I was about to say.
Yes.
So
I was working the transition well. We're of the same mind, my friend.
All right. So let's kind of just go in order. Kuma, why don't we start with you for final thoughts?
Final thoughts: keep on trying, even if your time is not that great. Eventually, you'll get your
Just gonna say, for some of the nonsense you saw, your time's fine.
Absolutely.
I mean, just finishing the seed, really. Like, I played this a few years back, briefly, and I don't think I finished a single seed out of like 10 or something. I don't know. It was very bad.
Yeah.
It can be rough.
Yeah. Kumo, anything else? Sorry, I kind of interrupted you there, but anything else?
No, just keep trying and have fun with it.
All right. Ravioli, what about you?
This has been an absolute blast, and just thanks to everybody for hosting it.
All right. Shadow, any final thoughts?
GG's to everyone, and it was fun. It actually kind of makes me wonder because I honestly was thinking, like, when I popped into all the volcano doors just to see if Armory had the mods, I was like, if it didn't have it, I was just gonna go with the Sun Sword or the Silver Sword +5. Makes me wonder if that would have been a better decision.
Nah, Silver Sword +5 is endgame weapons in like
Yeah, Silver +5 and Sun +2 are both in-game viable. There was also that Defense +5 that I think
I found it.
Where was it?
It was Agama Floor. I want to say like top right.
Yep. It was Volcano.
Yeah. So and if y'all go back and watch the VOD, DVS and I have a very long conversation about how blessings affect which swords are in-game viable. But but no, it's one of those things. No, that would have been a completely valid decision to just go, you know what? This is for more than 35. That's good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. And I already had one ribbon too, so I probably didn't even need to do that.
Yeah.
Actually, did I find the ribbon in Volcano? I don't remember.
I mean, it's fine. I would have. It's fine. I would have wound up calling you a coward anyway if you had. But only you. Everyone else would have been fine to bypass it. But you, Shadow, you have enough. You have enough experience to where you should have taken that War Mech no matter what.
Oh, I wasn't planning on running.
Yeah.
In the practice I did last night, I ended up fighting 3 War Mechs.
I mean, Ravioli fought 2.
I was kind of hoping I'd find one at the bridge.
Yeah, that happened to me like, a couple days ago. I had 3 in a row on the bridge, and it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. By the way, Ravioli, GG on actually seeing and fighting the War Mech on the bridge.
Well, it's funny. The first time in the Volcano Armory, I opened that box by mistake. I didn't see the X until I clicked. Your brain's racing. I
do
said,
all
"Oh
the-
no,
all the
that's the
time.
War Mech." And I said, "Oh well, let's just take him and see if I can do it anyway." But I knew I wouldn't. But
I mean,
fun to
you
try.
you had a black belt. Out of everyone here, you had the least incentive to actually get that Masa.
Oh, I wanted the experience. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted some quick experience and cash.
And just to clarify for Khan in chat, I'm eventually going to stop saying that, but
Oh,
it's
God,
going to
so
take
good.
me at least a few more iterations of that.
Today is not the day.
The Masa was in the armory, so it was like right there, bottom left chest in Volcano Armory. But yeah, so just Woo Bear, what about you? Any last thoughts?
No, I just I appreciate everyone running this. It's a lot of work, but it's been very, very fun, very cool. Been really, really enjoying. Like I said, I played this a few years ago, and it was a much rougher randomizer at that point. I loved some of the quality of life, even simple things like having heal pots in the first slot, no matter what. It's like it's brilliant, and I love it. But no, I've been having a lot of fun, and thanks everyone for pushing the buttons and doing the talkies and running the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, thank you to Math Girl for handling the restream. Technical difficulties and all, you got everything continuing to work right, so, thank you there. Shedhouse, thank you very much for handling the tracking, note-taking, all that.
Not easy tracking 4 people at the same time. I've done that a few times. And...
Oh, absolutely. Like DVS, I want to echo, thank you, RPG Limit Break, and thank you to you for agreeing to be restreamed, because, that's all part of it. But DVS, I'll let you get the last word in Edgewise.
Thank you, Woat, my co-commentator. Again, thank you to RPG Limit Break for hosting us. In chat, we have posted the Twitch streams for all of our runners. Please give them a follow. Over the next couple weeks, we are going to be having our Beckling Boot Camp, our Beckling Derby, which is broken into 2 different teams.
Yeah, week 2 tomorrow, right?
Yes, I'm pulling it up at the moment. Yes, Team Bicky and Team Astos. So this is Team Astos, which is going to meet every Saturday night at 7 p.m. And then Team Bicky is going to meet every Sunday at noon. So feel free to come back here next week at 7 p.m. Eastern on RPG Limit Break to follow through with Team Astos to the end of the tournament, or tune in tomorrow on the Final Fantasy Randomizer Twitch channel at noon in order to see Team Bicky running the exact same flag set. We are having our co-op tournament coming up in the next couple weeks, so if you're interested in getting into co-op, even if you're a duck, we usually have some of the vets who are looking for ducks to join our co-op tournament, and I think that is pretty much it. So on behalf of everyone here in the Final Fantasy Randomizer community, my name is Devious RNG, or DVS. Joined here by Woat, Restreamer Math Girl.
Is going to cut in real quick.
Hmm?
Because I don't think we ever actually updated anyone. They did finish the retime, still 1 second apart.
Yeah.
Wow.
What happens with that? Is it a tie? Does the 1 second ahead person win?
I think if
I
it's
think they should
within
tie.
3 seconds, it's considered a tie. I don't know if that's holding true for the Derby.
So it's a little bit different.
Seconds.
Yada 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 yada. But since it's within a few frames of each other, we set it as a tie, and both are getting second place points.
Yeah,
And fourth place goes.
that chat.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So there was a discussion in the group chat. But yes, there's a tie between Darkwing and Beta 13.
I just didn't want to leave any VOD viewers in suspense on that one.
I forgot all
Good
about it, but I was also very curious, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Good
All
call.
right. So
All
yeah,
right.
now you can finish taking some TVS.
Cool.
I just want to make sure we didn't cut out without that.
I was gonna say I don't remember where I was. So good night, everybody,
I think.
and until next.